Good afternoon and welcome to the Rewards Master Live. I didn't think I was going to be able to have one today because we're flying out, but then I realized that our flight was later, so I was able to work in time to do a live. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's see who we have in here. Let me see if I can pull it up. We got several who have joined on. Let's see who we got here. DEM. DEM's always here. Prestige buddy. Good to see you, my friend. Great. Hope you're having a good Sunday afternoon. We got Chad's Money Minutes. Great to have you here, Chad. One of the great creators in the community, kind of a mentor to many of us in his videos and just the honest way that he approaches it all. We appreciate that. Jimmy Duff, great supporter of the channel. Channel member, good friend. Good to have you. Mike Newland's here. Good to have you, Mike. Again, another great supporter of YouTube credit card in general, but particularly I'm appreciative. Great supporter of my channel. And then Juan Garcia. Good to have you here with us as well. Trying to pull it up on my phone so I can see how many are actually in, but it's not cooperating for some reason. Not exactly sure why. Maybe it will in a minute. That's fine. So I'll just, if you're on here, I can't see how many are in or how many likes we have or anything like that just yet. So just hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to subscribe. That helps the channel out a ton. And I appreciate it very, very much. Okay, before we get to, well, I'll just pull this up on the stage here. Kind of like it like this a little bit better. So as you know, I typically on Sunday afternoons, this is kind of my my plan that I have every week with 6 different things. Often don't get to all 6 of them. Today, we're going to kind of be top heavy on the front end of it. New developments. I have just a little bit I'm going to talk about with that. Restaurant rewards, again, just a little bit. And then the centerpiece that we're going to discuss today is about points hoarding. So I hope that'll be interesting to you. And then I have just a little bit about upcoming travel. And I do, because we do have a flight to catch, I do need to go about 50 minutes or so today. And that'll give me perfect time to be able to finish packing my stuff, get in the car, head to the airport. So, all right. DEM says, I was just in the points with Philip live sharing how I got 10X at Total Wine through the gift card at Walgreens with my racketing card. Hey, anytime you can get a 10X, that is a worthy stack. That's a worthy stack. Polygraph Zone joins us. Good to have you, Polygraph. He says, hey, Rewards Master. We say hey to you. Welcome. Good to have you here in the group today. Still no luck pulling it up on my other, so that's all right. We'll just dive in. Okay, new development. And I just thought I'd talk a little bit about points hunting. And as far as, you know, sign up bonuses, I talk a lot on this channel about how, you know, my stuff and my approach is really heavy towards people who have high spend, because that's kind of the way it works out in my life. I do sign up bonuses all the time too, but I mean, the spend that I have on cards every year, I couldn't do that many sign up bonuses. It'd be too many hard pulls. It'd be too much of that. So that's why I try to balance the two, but I am always point hunting. In other words, I'm always looking for sign up bonuses and churning. So these are the ones that I'm finishing right now. The first is American Express Business Platinum Upgrade. So this was, I had a business gold. In fact, I had 2 business golds and a business green, which, by the way, the Amex Business Green is in contention for the worst credit card in the world. I mean, it's so bad, but a lot of us have it because we downgrade to it. And this one was an offer they sent me on my business gold card to upgrade to the platinum again, business platinum, which I never mind to do that because the business platinum card is not as good as the personal platinum, but I can always get my money back because, especially with the $300 twice on the FHR. And then in addition to that, the $200 airline credit, I get that. That's $800 right there. The Dell credit, I'm getting that right there is more than going to make up for it. And so this is just not, it's not hard for me to get my money back. So I never mind to make the upgrade to that. And then, you know, I'll enjoy a Centurion Lounge here and there. So they gave me that 10,000 spend in 3 months for 120,000 point bonus for the upgrade. Just finished it actually today. So just finished that. About halfway through with the AA Globe card, 5K for 90,000 points. That's in a 4-month span. And then the last one is I took a break from it from a while. So what it was is Hawaiian. My Hawaiian card, actually it was known as Hawaiian card, gave 80,000 points for 5,000 in spend, but it was broken up. So you got the first 50,000 points for 2,000 in spend. We have already done that a month or two ago. And then you get the additional 30,000 points for the last 3,000 in spend. And we have until, I don't know, a few months from now to do that. So what I'll do is when I finish the Globe card, which I'll probably finish by the end of this month, with holidays and everything. So I'll do that. And then I'll just throw 3,000 more on that Hawaiian card to get that extra 30,000 points. So as of today, working on, what's that, 120 plus 90, that's 210, about 240,000 points in Hawaiian, AA, and American Express membership reward points. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And if anybody wants to, computer stand fell over. But if anybody wants to share any of the ones they've been working on, I'd be glad to see it as well, because I think it's kind of fun to share our wins, so to speak, in the community. Okay, DEM said worked for Walmart too. Yeah, that's that 10x hack he was talking about before, which is very, very cool. Okay, let's see. Chad said, bro, you're always in the move. Can you share where you're heading? I'm traveling with my wife as well today. Yeah, I am heading to see. It's funny because I didn't have my live stream last week, and it's because we actually canceled a trip last week. We were going to see some family, one of our children, and out on the West Coast, and we canceled it 2 weeks ago. And then Nona got sick, so we had to cancel it. That's why we canceled it. And then we rescheduled it for last week. And then I got sick. That's why I couldn't do my live stream last week. So we canceled it. So this is the third time is the charm. And I'll talk about it at the end of the live stream in the upcoming travel. But this is the third time's the charm. So hopefully we're going to get it. But we've already been upgraded on both flights today. So pretty awesome. AA Platinum Pro status to the rescue. So, and we think we're going to go into the Capital One Lounge on the way through in DFW. So hopefully it'll be fun. So I don't know if you're going through there, Chad, but if you're going through DFW tonight, then send me a message on something so we could meet up in the lounge or something. So that'd be pretty cool. All right. Juan Garcia says, Rewards Master, thoughts on rumors of City Prestige holders being transitioned to Strata Elite in 2026. I've heard that rumor. I don't like it, but I will accept it. That's my thoughts on it. I love the Prestige card. It's my favorite card in the world. But the Elite card's probably like my third favorite card in the world, or my fourth. I like the Elite card. And I could run my system with the Elite card. It would take a little more work because I'd be finding ways to do gift cards on Friday and Saturday night to get that 6X and stuff like that on dining. But I could make it work. But I'm hoping, I know there's those rumors, but remember, Juan, it's City, and City has a tendency like to not follow through and forget about things. I'm hoping they just forget about us and they leave us alone indefinitely, which I do think is a real possibility because it's City. I mean, that's part of what I love about them. I mean, just they're kind of fly by the seat of your pants, so to speak. All right, Jimmy Duff just finished and spent on Amex per Platinum, 175,000 points. Should come in handy. Can always use 175,000 membership reward points. And I would be working on one of those too if they hadn't denied me, put me in pop-up jail for the Morgan Stanley that I wanted. I talked about that last time. All right, Stacy's Travel. Stacy, good to have you back. Good to have you here. Hello, making dinner and listening. All right. Hope you guys have something good cooking up there. What's the points? Good to see you, bud. Saw each other in Puerto Rico. Not sure if it's because I have an existing business platinum, but they won't even let me upgrade my business gold, even without an offer. Yeah. Okay. Wow. I don't know what the deal is. If I wait a while, I always get upgrade offers on their business cards. So I don't know what's going on with that. DM, just finished my third 75,000 point Blue Business Plus sub. Oh, those are awesome. I've never had one of those. But Blue Business Plus sub this year and got another one in the mail, working on a second business gold for 175K. Yeah. I mean, the one downside about the Blue Business Plus ones is because they count as one of your 5 American Express cards because they are a credit card. They're not a charge card like their other business cards. So that's the only downside. But I love the Blue Business Plus. I think it's one of the best American Express cards overall. And that's 75K for a no annual fee card. That is awesome. If they give me that fourth, it'll be 4 75K Blue Business Plus cards this year. That would be amazing. You're playing the game right, Dan. All right, Sleepy Rod. Good to have you, Sleepy Rod. I think Amex catching on to the upgrade downgrade game. Yeah, they might be. They might be. But I'll play the game. I'll take points as long as people will give them to me. How's that? Jimmy Duff, still trying to get Citi to approve me. Have the custom cash, but then got cut off. Waiting a while, but going to try again. I have the AA $99 card. What do you think I should try to get? Well, I don't know. If you don't have, I mean, the people are going to say the Premier card is by far the best. I mean, you say you do have a custom cash, but you don't have a double cash. Well, an elite card's pretty nice to have that 1.5x on everything. And then those dining multipliers are amazing. I know everybody criticizes it, but remember, the base dining multiplier of 3x is just as good as everybody else except the gold card. I mean, but it's the standard. So its base is the industry standard. So I don't know. I think it's pretty good. If I had to choose one or the other, well, I'd probably try to I think my preference would be the elite. If I didn't have prestige, have the elite card and then have the no annual fee strata card with it, because that is a very powerful combination, those two. What's the points? As a sole traveler, traveling AA, looks like executive platinum on my trip to Puerto Rico via DFW from SFO. I was only upgraded 1 of 4 legs, which was a little disappointing. Yeah. The upgrades are drying up. They're drying up on everybody. I was just talking to somebody recently, and they were talking about how they're getting upgrades a lot on Delta. And I clarified. I said, when you say upgrades on Delta, are you meaning Comfort Plus? Because Delta does it sneaky, right? Anybody notice this? Delta does it sneaky. You've been upgraded. And they're meaning to Comfort Plus. And I have been, I'm right now platinum with Delta. I understand being a status flyer with Delta. And Delta Comfort Plus is fine, but it's not really any better, in my opinion, than Main Cabin Extra with American, especially if you get on those exit rows. Those are just awesome. And so it's just not better. It's not an upgrade. It is the premium economy cabin in the US. It is the better economy seats, but they just separate it with a curtain. That's kind of how I see it. Now, I like them, and I'd rather fly there than in the back in Maine, but it's kind of funny to me. So I hear people saying, well, I get upgrades a lot. And most of the time they're Delta, and most of the time they're talking about Comfort Plus. But I don't consider that an upgrade. To me, if it's not first class, it's not an upgrade. Because status flyers in the other programs, if you're status with American and if you're status with United, you get the better economy seats for free. You don't have to be upgraded to it. So I don't know. That's tell me if you disagree or if you think I'm right. DM, I take another custom cash at 5X for dining and keep my Chase. Chase. Listen to me. That's just cardinal sin right there. and keep my City Strata Elite if they convert the Prestige. Old coworker told me possibly 27. Okay. Yeah, that's right, DM. You used to work at City. That's right. I remember that. 27. I mean, I'll take the 5X on flights and 5X on dining and 3X on all those other categories for a couple more years. That'd be pretty awesome. Tulare, great channel member. Good to have you here, Tulare73. Hello, Bob, and everyone else. Good to have you here. Stacy, question for the audience, though. I'm 424 today. Was going to apply for the Chase Inc. Business Preferred with the 90,000K for 8,000 sub. But with the City Strata Premier at 100K, 6,000, maybe do that instead. Well, I'll let the community answer on that because I don't know. I like the Inc. Cash card the best of those Inc. cards. And I mean, I'm just not big into Chase. So I do think that's a great card and a great sub. So I can't say anything bad about it. But I think 100K City Points for 6,000 is a great sub too. So I'll let others comment. Dim, I have 11 cards with Amex, 9 plus 2 authorized users. Okay. Juan Garcia, AA is offering upgrade to Advantage Gold, 100,000, 100K miles and 15,000 loyalty points for 5K. I live in an AA hub, but to me, this offer does not have enough perks to entice me to pay for status upgrade. Juan, I'm just going to tell you something after being an American Flyer for a long time. The sweet spot is platinum. For me, it's platinum or bust. Platinum, now Platinum Pro is fine, but platinum is the sweet spot. And the reason that it's the sweet spot, in my view, and this is from, I take like 20 of these flights a year. And in my opinion, the reason platinum's the sweet spot, and if I drop below, I try to get the 125,000 loyalty points, but if I don't get there, as long as I'm past 75, I don't care, because at platinum, you get to book straight in to the main cabin extra seats at booking for no cost. And let me tell you, nobody ever talks about the benefit of that. You know how much money that saves you? Sometimes those seats are $100 to each way. And I mean, when you're taking 20 flights a year and getting those upgraded seats for free, that is excellent. So that's my opinion of it. So in other words, I wouldn't turn down gold status. I think it's fine, but because you can like switch to those seats, I think day of travel, if they're still available, but it might be a middle seat a lot of times, but the sweet spot is platinum. And if you have the Globe card or the executive card, it gives you a lot of points towards it. So it really helps. Okay. Sleepy Rod asked Dem, how are you finding these 75,000 Blue Business Plus offers? Answer Stacy, I would do the Ink card and then the Strata Elite. Yeah, that's probably true because of the 524. I mean, there's a point to that. Juan Garcia, Stacy, do you have any Ink cards at 424? I would apply first for Ink card and then Strata Elite afterwards. Yeah, because City's not going to care as much about the 524 thing. I think they do actually have a 624 rule, if I remember correctly. Dem says, I'm targeting them. I'm targeted for them, Sleepy. So he points that out. He said he's being targeted for himself. Okay, Sleepy Rod says, Dem, when you get targeted, you mean like mail officer? How do you find those? Stacy, if you think you'd have trouble hitting the spend on both, I'll do the CSE. And since the 100,000 sub is going away soon. Yeah, that makes sense. What's the points? I didn't realize main cabin extra could be $100. Ironically, AA always has the lowest fee for that. Wasn't it typically 35? Yes, it can be, but I do a lot of flights across the United States and they price them dynamically sometimes. Now, you're right. When it comes to consistently, United are crazy high and their seats aren't even as good. I mean, they're kind of the better economy seats, like people who, they don't have the better snacks and they don't have free drinks and all that stuff like Americans and Delta does in Comfort Plus. So all that stuff is better on American, but yet United costs, theirs are always 109 or something like that. But Americans can be up to 100, but you're right. The floor is probably 35, but anywhere between that and $100, it can be, or at least that's what I've seen. Okay. Polygraph Zone drops a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you. Still weighing AA Globe, already have the Elite. Question, does the Globe allow me to check in at the baggage counter priority line or just priority boarding? Well, it gives priority, so I think it does, if I'm not mistaken. That's kind of hard for me to answer definitively because I've had AA status. So I always get to go through that line regardless of my card. But if I remember correctly, after reading all the different people it applies to, I think it just says just plain old priority. Now, I will tell you, in the Memphis airport where I fly out of a lot, in Memphis, there is a line that says priority through security, and it even has a TSA, and there is never anybody there. I have seen 200 people in the TSA line, and nobody but, because it's for wheelchairs and priority. So I'm often standing in the line with people who have need wheelchair assistance, and they'll ask me, do you have priority? And I'll show it on my boarding pass, and I get to go through with nobody in line. So there are benefits to that, having that priority that sometimes people don't notice. Stacy, I hit 324 next month. City Strata Premier is elevated, and I think that Chase card will be elevated next year, maybe. Can make sense. Dem, mail offers. Gentleman Explorer, channel member. I've been targeted for 3 different 75K Blue Business Plus offers via email and snail mail after hitting gold business and platinum subs. All right. I've had those as well, by the way. Polygraph Zone. I'm getting tons of messages from Citi saying I'm pre-selected for the Globe card. Is that a sign that they're not getting a lot of applicants? I don't know. I think they always want to get a lot of people when they launch these new cards. So it could be that they're not, or it could be just wanting to push their new card. All right, let's move on to the restaurant rewards. And I just mentioned in this one real quick, and I do have a link down below. Of course, if you sign up for that link, it helps me, no cost to you. But I love the Upwards app and Upside app. I love it. I mean, and I showed this little picture. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, but this was the one that people were amazed by. So you notice offer amount, that was for Taco Bell, and it was 76% cash back. And that's because whenever somebody signs up on your next purchase, you get this crazy elevated value, either on a gas purchase or on a restaurant purchase. And that's pretty cool. But I wanted to mention the referrals. So the referrals, the way they do it on Upside is every time somebody signs up for it, it's almost like a multi-level marketing thing. I don't know. I don't know. But basically, every time somebody who signs up under your referral uses Upside, you get 10 cents. So it doesn't add up to a lot. I mean, for me, I probably have 30 or so people who've signed up under me. I get like, I don't know, $15 a month or something like, not very much, but I do think it's kind of cool that you get that elevated on your next purchase, which, you can get up to 76%, which is kind of cool. So I really like in the Upside app, it gives just, it's another way to triple dip, right? And so I just wanted to remind everybody of it. And it does have a lot of restaurants on there as well. So just remember that. I do have a referral link down below if you're interested in that. Okay, here's my centerpiece for today. We're going to talk about what it means to point hoard. And this is one of those topics that here at the Rewards Master, I seem to be swimming against the flow. Like you've seen these, these rivers and these salmon are all flowing in one direction. And maybe you got the one that's going upstream against the others. I feel like I'm often swimming upstream against some of the conventional wisdom in the community. And one of those pieces of conventional wisdom that we see all the time is that you should earn and burn, and that hoarding your points is a bad idea, right? Everybody's heard that hoarding your points is a bad idea, right? Well, for me, I hoard points. I mean, I just got to be truthful about it. I hoard them. I mean, I've got probably 2 million points right now, almost always sitting at least that amount, if not more. And I hoard them, and I hoard them in certain programs, and I hoard them in programs that even the people who say you shouldn't hoard, but if you do hoard them, don't ever hoard them here. That's where I hoard them. So I guess I'm doing it major wrong, but I do that for a specific reason that we're going to talk about today. So put in the comments, any of you hoard points? What's your general thinking about hoarding points? And I'm going to kind of try to evaluate the entirety of this discussion as we go through. Let me go back and see if we've got anybody else who's joined back on. Got 27 watching. That's good. Only 11 have hit the like button, though. If you all don't mind, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you ever join with a membership, or if you gift memberships or any kind of super sticker, super chats, those help the algorithm as well. And they're deeply, deeply appreciated. So let's go back to the comments real quick. Let's see where we were. What's the point? Says, when I found out that I could product change my Mile Up card to a second CSE, I jumped at that, but had been considering getting a Globe to go with my AA executive card. I think I'll be shifting to Alaska for my One World status, though. Okay, well, that makes sense. But I do think the Globe and the executive card, I have them both. And I haven't had a statement close yet. So I'll let you know when I do how exactly that loyalty point bonus thing, the way it reads, and if they're true to their, you know, to their wording on their terms and conditions, then the way it reads, we're supposed to receive it for one round trip. So for 4 segments, 5,000 points up to 3 times. And I'll let everybody know when that happens. But those two things together mean I'm going to get 35,000 free loyalty points every year. So I think they're very powerful for loyalty point accumulation. Sleepy Rod, thoughts on the AA pass, 5,000 for 100,000 miles with instant gold status. Sorry if you already talked about it. I came late. No, Sleepy Rod, I have not talked about it. And I would not do that. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't think, I mean, to me, to get gold status is not all that helpful. Like I said, I think the sweet spot is, and if you could get, I mean, for $5,000, how many years of the AA executive card and the Globe card could you pay for with that? And then you're going to get their credits and all the lounge status and everything else. And then, I mean, that pretty much gets you to gold anyway, because if you're taking 3 round trip flights, you're getting 15,000 loyalty points there. And, you know, as long as you're getting enough loyalty points through other means, you're going to get 20,000 with the executive card. And that gets you to 35,000 points for free. And it's only 40,000 points to get to gold status. So to me, I saw that and I was like, I wouldn't do that myself. So, I mean, might work for you, but it wouldn't for me. James says, what's up? Good to have you here, James. Good to have you with us. Sleepy Rod says, what's the points? Alaska kind of screwed us over with the Bay Area and cutting back flights from San Jose. Honestly, feeling a bit bitter on choosing Alaska over AA. Yeah, I can see that. Frequent Miler, what's the point? Says Frequent Miler just had a good bit on the case for point hoarding. Yeah, I saw that not too long ago. That's right. I hoard my city points as much as possible. Amex are much easier to accumulate. That's right. That's me. I don't hoard Amex at all. I often transfer them when I get them, especially if there's a transfer bonus. Gentleman Explorer, I love you, Bob, but you can't be staying at B tier hotels in Dubai with all those points. Team churn and burn. Well, we stay. Yeah. Okay. I understand, but I just don't. I mean, we are upgrading our hotel situation this year, but I'm going to try to do it with free night certs. I mean, we're going to probably add a Brilliant card and a Ritz card and all that. I just really have trouble. I mean, it's just something inside me. Use points for half a cent per point. I don't care whose point it is. It's really hard for me. So you're right. But I will say, in Abu Dhabi, we stayed in the Conrad, and it was not a B tier hotel. And it was $150 something a night. Overseas, sometimes you can get smoking good hotels and just pay for them. And that's what we try to do. But yeah. All right. Filmo says, my name is Filmo and I am a points hoarder. Yeah. We're going to have a Points Hoarders Anonymous meeting here. That's what we're going to have. So good to have you here, Phil. Cameron Arms. Good to have you here. I'm a hoarder as well. All right. We got another one. Jimmy Duff was hoarding British Air points and just lost 10%. Oh, well, that's the downside. That's for sure. We're going to talk about downsides. Says, hi, Phil. Juan Garcia says, hi to Phil. Dim says, I spend more time outside of the room than in it when I travel. Prefer using points for business and first class personally. That's where I'm at. I mean, sometimes Nona likes to hang out at the pool and some of those nice places. So, yeah, we kind of are getting to where we're doing both. But for the most part, let me tell you, I would take naps and stuff. But that lady has got me out burning up the street. I mean, I think she wants me to get enough walking in so I live forever. So Sleepy Rod says, hot take, earn and burn can only be done if you're a big time YouTuber who earns a good amount of referral bonuses. Hard for me to accumulate points for me to just burn them right away. Okay, well, maybe that's true for some YouTubers. I think you would laugh at how many referral points I got last year. Hardly any. I mean, because you notice I do city cards. Guess what? No referrals. So that's not me, but I do get a lot of open a lot of cards and I do have good spend. So I guess I do have a lot of points, but still. Mike Newland says, hoarding is fine if that's the way you want to play the game. They're your points, not ours. That's right. I mean, and we're going to talk about the benefits and downsides of each. Okay, so conventional wisdom says points hoarding is bad. Now, everybody's heard this, right? Conventional wisdom. I mean, and these are the reasons that I typically hear cited. And if I miss a reason here, please put that in the comments because I want to know it. All right, so here we go. Points devalue. This is the number one reason that people don't want to hoard points, because points devalue. So what they're meaning is if you have them hoarded somewhere in a program, like say Virgin Atlantic, and then overnight, which Virgin Atlantic has done and will do, they change their program. Now your points aren't worth as much. You just lost points to inflation, right? I mean, your points just are worth less than they used to be. So that's points devaluation. And that is what I hear is the number one reason not to do this. Okay. So, and there's truth in that. I mean, that does happen. It's happened to me. So I acknowledge that that's true. The second one that I notice is that opportunity cost if points aren't hoarded in a transferable currency. So what I mean by that is if you use like transfer bonuses, right? You know, you got this great 30% transfer bonus. So you transfer a whole bunch of points over to take advantage of that, which can be, and by the way, in my opinion, transfer bonuses can offset potential devaluations. They can. But still, if you do that, then you've lost opportunity cost because you don't have your 100,000 chase points anymore, 100,000 city points, MR points, whatever. And so now when a great deal comes along, you don't have the points to use for it. So that's another critique. Another one is expirations. So, you can have points expire in certain programs. This one is very real. I do not hoard points in programs that I can't keep those points alive. I do not do that. That to me is a bad idea. So I don't hoard them in those programs at all. Some of the Asian programs, Asian airlines, they are very, very hard about you got 3 years to use your points and there's nothing you can do to keep them alive. I don't transfer to those unless I'm going to use them right away. And then the last one that I think has to be acknowledged is they say you need to use your points. And this is also the argument that says cents per point don't matter. And I think they're right for some people, that enjoyment, just, make the memories, take the trip, live your life. I think that's a valid thing. And I think people should do that. But still, all of these things apply to a certain portion of people, right? So I think all of these things are true, and all of them are absolutely applicable to many people. So points devalue. Well, if you don't have lots and lots of points, then you need to be selective on where you're sending them. I mean, and that's true for the opportunity cost too. If you only have 150,000 points in a transferable program, I wouldn't transfer your full 150,000 points to some airline somewhere, and then something else come up and you can't transfer it to another partner. Don't do that. That's true. Expirations, of course, are real. I follow that one as mine. And then the whole enjoyment, live your life. If you can't afford to take trips and to live your life and to enjoy your time without using your points, then yes, you have to be very selective about using your points. And I think that's totally valid. Totally valid. However, all of these things do apply absolutely to some people, but they don't necessarily apply to everybody in every situation. And that's what has to be acknowledged in the points and miles world, is that there really is no conventional wisdom that applies across the board, because everybody's finances are different. Everybody's travel restrictions are different. In other words, everybody has a different schedule, a different time frame. Some people can travel anytime they want. Some people are stuck by a job schedule or school schedules. I mean, all that stuff factors in massively. And some people have an easier time earning points. Some people have a harder time earning points. So I think all of that applies across the board. Let me know what you think of these. Did I miss any in this? All right, we have 28 watching now. We have 15 that have hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. That helps out a lot. Okay, Mike Newland says, the only time I transferred points without a plan, it was to Alaska last June. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Mike, you know the game and you know your own circumstance and what's best for you. And that absolutely makes sense. Now, I did that extensively, and I'd be curious if you did that during the whole go through Hawaiian with your MR points to be able to backdoor it into Alaska points. I'd be curious if you did any of that, because I think a lot of people did that kind of, quote, speculatively, because it was an opportunity that doesn't normally come up. All right, like I said, we have about 30 people in here. 15 have hit the like button, so please do that if you haven't. Thanks, Mike. Let's see, who else we got on board? All right, we're caught up on comments, so let's move to the next slide. Please let me know if I missed any here. I think the points deval is the biggest one of all of these, if I had to guess. And I think that's probably the one that's quoted the most. Let me know. All right, assumptions concerning the conventional wisdom. So this is the conventional wisdom that points earning is bad and you should always earn and burn. And the assumptions are these: points will devalue. I think this is true much of the time, but I don't think it's a universal truth. And what I mean by that is, for instance, I had, coming into this summer, a lot of city points. And then city got AA. Suddenly, my city points did not devalue. They increased substantially in value. You understand? So on a transferable currency, even though I'm not saying that always happens, it doesn't. In fact, much of the time, the devaluation thing is a predictor. I mean, it's going to happen. But sometimes it's not always true. There was a time when Virgin Atlantic, you remember when they did the deval, but yet at the same time, they opened up all these crazy good flights, like 10,000 to England in premium economy. And it was just like $100 in taxes and fees. We took advantage of that. I mean, that's a crazy good deal. I mean, so they devalued some things, but then they increased the value of other things. So I don't think that conventional wisdom is always true. I would be comfortable saying it's mostly true, but points do not always devalue. Sometimes they do get better. Not all the time, not most of the time, but sometimes. The second thing, the conventional wisdom is a person is limited in total points. I think that's the assumption in it. So for instance, somebody earlier said about YouTube and kind of lumped us all together. Well, us city guys, we don't get all those referrals, but the assumption is that a YouTuber that gets a lot of referrals is going to have like an unlimited pool of points. And that would be true. But there are people who aren't YouTubers that have almost unlimited pools of points. There's a lot of people. I have people in this community I know who are not YouTubers, who don't run channels. Some of you who were at the meetup, there were folks at the meetup who have 10 business platinum cards, who they're getting a lot of points. They got millions and millions and millions of points. And so I think it still is based upon an assumption, because if a person has lots of points, then if you're going to be able to transfer your points to get 30% extra, why not do that if you already still have $1 million left over in that account, or whatever, maybe, or 500,000 or whatever. So I think there's an assumption that goes into that's preached like a rule. You should never do this. And then the idea that trips will use up your points, or all of your points, faster than they can be earned. That's kind of the assumption, that people can't earn points as fast as they burn them. And I could tell you, and this is true before I started a YouTube channel, so I want to make that very clear. I was earning more points than I was spending. I have family members in my family who own businesses. And a lot of people in the points and miles world own businesses. That's why business cards are so huge. And it is not uncommon for business owners to spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a month on supplies or on product or whatever and run it through their cards. If you're running $80,000 a month through cards, you are earning points. Most likely, if you're running a business, you can't just take off anytime you want because you got to run that business to make money. So you have more points than you do time to spend those points. So wouldn't it make sense to use some of those points to make them even more? So when you do have time to go, you don't have to fly premium economy, but you can fly first, no matter how much, even if it's 500,000 points a ticket. I mean, but even that, I mean, no matter if you do have lots and lots of points, you want to get the best value. You want to be able to multiply them if you can. You see, I'm just talking about conventional wisdom. These are the kind of the assumptions that go into, I think, just the kind of ironclad rule people say you should always earn and burn. You should never hoard. Well, that does apply to a lot of people, but it doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. So I'd be curious what some of y'all think about all of this. Mike clarifies before he says, yeah, through Hawaiian. Okay. Yeah, that. I think a lot of us did that. Gentleman Explorer, I'm for reverse engineering the trip through the points and then business international flights and dope hotels. Doing this for a family of 4 while we were all at home takes many, many points. Yep, it does. See, we don't have any kids at home, so we don't have to worry about the 4. That's another factor that changes the whole deal for an individual is how many people are you worrying about? How many people are you doing this for? Right. All right. DM. Speaking of deval, thoughts on Amex nerfing Cathay by reducing transfers to 5-4. I've had better luck through AA personally, but going direct has also proven fruitful. Yeah, because of award availability and stuff. Well, that is a deval for sure. I mean, for them to change that honest midstream, and I'd love to know the economics of why. Is Cathay charging them more for the points? Is Amex just being cheap? I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a deval, and I think it's significant. Excuse me, Sleepy Rod. Sorry, I was only lumping in the super big YouTuber, not you. That's okay. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, some of those guys, they're never going to run out of points. That's just absolutely true. I wasn't offended. Don't worry about it. Gentleman Explorer, the optimization trap is antithetical to philosophy of points are for luxury family travel while I got all the kids on the house. Yeah. That optimization trap. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Because it is a trap. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got to evaluate it. You got to figure out your own way of doing it, not just follow somebody else's rubric on that. That's exactly the point. DM, I have a few million points in both city and personally, Amex personally. Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to have a few million points in Amex. I mean, if you've been playing this game a while, and that's absolutely true. City, I mean, I don't have that many with City. I got a few, but I don't have that many with City, man. That is awesome. Sleepy Rod, no shade to Spencer Johnson. I once heard him say he earns too much points and he hates it. I wish I had those kind of problems. Yeah, that sounds like a good problem to have. Spencer's a great guy, by the way. Got to spend time with him at the meetup. Great guy. DM, I have a client that spends over $500,000 a month through his business Centurion card. Okay, that's some serious points. Terrible multiplier, but when you're spending that much, does it really matter? No. There's a person who, I promise you, if he's a client making that kind of money in that kind of world, he's probably got more points than he has time to use them. So that's exactly a good illustration of what I'm talking about. Filmo, Sleepy Rod, that's because my boy Spencer only flies Southwest. He does. So weird. He does. DEM books everything through Amex Travel too. Yeah, ooh, that's just painful to hear. What's the points? I'm hoarding UR and Hyatt points and paying for more cash days than before due to UR subs getting harder. Though this does make me want to look into alternatives. Yep, that's exactly where I'm at. Mike Newland says, I mean, if you have the monthly spender and all those points, there's no way you're going to have time to spend them at all at the same time, but that's not hoarding. Okay. Yeah, I guess I can see your point in that. That's just accumulation, right? But it's just, it seems like, and I guess my only issue with it is just saying the earn and burn thing as universal wisdom that should apply to everybody. I just don't think there is any universal wisdom on a lot of this stuff. There's just general principles, and everybody has to apply it to their own circumstance. At least that's how it seems to me. Okay, next slide. So, good reasons to hoard points. And I guess what we're saying is just have a lot of them more than anything, because you're right, Mike. I mean, accumulating so many is not exactly the same as saving them, right? Hoarding them. But good reasons to hoard points. Options, multiple bookings. All right. I think I have about 12 flights booked on AA right now. And I will only probably take 3 of them. Because if I'm looking around and there's 5% chance I might take a trip to see family or take a trip, and I say, oh, Nona, would you like to go in February and go do this? Before I even ask her, if I see a good redemption, I book it. Only with AA or United, sometimes with Delta, but not very often. But AA United, because why not? I just cancel anytime I want, get all my money back, get all my points back. But to do that, I've got to, and in other words, they're placeholders. And so I have lots of flights that, and to do that, I have to have lots of points. So I have points. I do have some United points. I've kind of dropped those down. I'm going to have to build those back up somehow. And without Chase, it's going to be hard to do. And I just don't focus on Chase. So that one might be rough. But on the American, I have lots and lots of American points. And I like having lots of American points because if I see this smoking good business class trip that we might take or might not, I'm just going to book it and then cancel it later. It works really good, but you can't do that unless you have a big stash of points in that program. The second thing is last minute redemption strategy. So I do that a lot. I mean, I almost always, I book something way out and then I book something else for the same days, a little closer in that I think, and I'm trying to decide between the two. And then I'm watching as it gets closer. And I'm telling you, within the last 2 weeks, sometimes I find the best deal, usually with American, even with their partners and stuff. But that last minute redemption strategy, that doesn't work unless you have lots and lots of points in the program. And then points saved for outsized value. So, cash paid for subpar redemptions. So if you have the budget to be able to pay for things that aren't great value as far as cent per point value, and that's kind of what I typically do. If I'm not getting at least 3+ cents per point, I just don't use points. I just pay for it, and that's kind of how I approach it. And I think that's a good system if a person can. Now, not everybody can do that, and I get it, but Dugras, that would be an anathema to him. His approach is totally opposite. And I respect his approach immensely, but my approach is very different. I'm just not going to use my points for that kind of value. And to me, I will say it's kind of gaming it because to me, it's a game and that's fun. I mean, getting great value is part of the fun of this for me. And so I'm looking for that. And then let's see, my slide is hidden there, but those are kind of the basic reasons. In the last one, there is always prepared for any deal that comes up, and so that means that if I'm going to move points over to AA or to United or whatever it may be to be able to optimize those previous things on this list, I'm also going to keep a big stash of points in my transferable currencies in case something great comes up that I need to transfer to. So to me, those are all good reasons to have big stashes of points. All right. DEM says a book Delta One travel trip from Atlanta to Brazil for my wife and at 1.9 cents per point over of the best I've seen through Delta. Yeah, Delta's hard. I mean, 1.9 is great with Delta. I mean, I've got one coming up that's close to 3. It's a premium economy from Asia, but that's like a unicorn. I mean, I just don't see it very often. But with Delta, that's hard. It's not like, I mean, I can get over 3 with United sometimes too, but all the time with American. But with Delta, that's a tough one to do. It says it's Delta 1. YouTube experiment. Hello. Do you ever choose a destination based on point value? All the time. That easy answer. Yeah. We choose when we fly on our big trips. When we fly, not to see family, stuff like that, but big trips, we choose when we fly and where we go based upon where I find the awesome flight and the awesome deal. So yeah, we do that all the time, but we're flexible. So some people aren't. Not everybody can do that. Someone in the venture Discord took issue with my not using Hyatt points for 1.5 cents per point, even with the 12x Rakuten stack, because we don't use cash in this game. Really? Well, apparently you and I are doing it wrong. We're doing it wrong. All right. So that's what I had as the main event. Let's see how many we got in here. 41 watching. Please, 21 have hit the like button. So hit the like button if you don't mind. And appreciate every single one of you. Like I said, I'm going to have to wrap up. I'm at 51 minutes. So just to tell you a little bit, today we're flying domestic to see family on AA. Trip changed 3 times, as I told you about. These tickets ended up costing me $13,000 each for one way. So that was over a 3.5 cent per point value. And we were upgraded to first class on both legs. So now on one of them, we're not sitting together, but almost always, if you're in different seats in first class, somebody will swap with one of you. That almost always happens. So that's going to be taking place. So that's what we got going. And that is pretty much what I got for today. Mike says, so you're hardly ever buying points? Yeah, I've done it maybe once or twice just to top off, but that's about it for me. Sleepy Rod said, I think it's getting harder to find good value for Hyatt points, at least for me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't do it a lot. I have done it some, but it's like I said, I have so many credits for hotels on my cards. It's like, I want to be able to use those first. So I don't usually book with points. So, all right, y'all. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Let's see. I think we had, Polygraph Zone gave $4.99 today. Thank you so much for that. Always appreciate it. Several of you were very generous on Friday with my live stream, and I appreciate that very much. And I just appreciate you. So good to see everybody here. And I'm going to turn it off for this time. We'll be back next Sunday afternoon, as always, with our Sunday afternoon live stream. Appreciate you. See you here next time.